that he might lose his job over it. Just some of the former players that are maybe aware of our situation that are in front office positions and maybe in a position to talk to their owners about it, may be reluctant for the fear of losing their job. So there's a lot of variables out there that we're not aware of.
I just not to interrupt you, David, but even with my own son to try to put, to hoist the flag in our cause over here, I'm afraid because of the fact that he's a player and that there might be an owner that says, what is this guy doing, and get in a situation where you get blackballed. I mean, you become,
right.
You don't know how they're going to react to that, And it's funny because knowing you, I played against you for the few years that I was there, and I look at you, and I was good friends with Fitterich. Before you got on the phone, we were talking about that, but looking at, I was right there when Fitterich got hurt. He filled ballparks everywhere, just like you did. I mean, when you signed as an 18-year-old, I think if I remember correctly, you were supposed to go up and have a couple of starts, and then they were going to send you to minor leagues. But you were drawing such, a great amount of people coming out to see you as an 18-year-old kid pitching in the big leagues. I mean, basically, you were putting fannies in the seats to a franchise that wasn't putting fannies in the seats. You wound up, being a big draw. And your career might have been shortened by it because I think there was an article written about you, comparing you and Strasburg and how the Nationals are handling him with kid gloves. I mean, you were in the same category as a real phenom coming out of high school and may have been burnt out a little bit too soon. So, how they look at us as cattle and pieces of meat, as sometimes we're referred to, to sit here and say that you sacrificed maybe a Hall of Fame career, to think that then they look upon you and say, well, we're not gonna help you in this situation because we don't have to. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I've been told face to face. I mean, with where you could smell each other's breath by owners when I tried to get back into the game a couple of years ago or a few years ago, willing to start my way at the lowest level of minor leagues to sweep toilets. I'd already been straight to the big leagues and found out that didn't work. So I was willing to earn my way back as a coach. I had owners tell me point blank to my face, we'll do anything we can to help you. And there's no reason you shouldn't be back in the game. And yet I can't even get a return phone call. So, I realize those positions are very competitive and everything and are extremely coveted. But at the same time, when somebody tells you something and then they won't even return your phone call, there's something amiss there.
I think ultimately one of the main issues around this, we've talked about the economy is a problem with this. The generation gap is a problem. Obviously, the fact that the Negro Leaguers got their pensions brought the whole issue really to light and made it unfair to you guys. And I think the other part, which David, you really just alluded to and Steve was talking about, was just the fact that you're dealing on both sides with owners and players who are human beings who appear to be thinking more about themselves and where they're going to end up as opposed to looking back and helping those who helped them. Maybe one of the main complications here is just all the personalities involved.
Absolutely. I think you're correct there. And I don't blame today's player for looking out for themselves. But at the same time, they're making a ton of money. And especially, the big names. In a couple of instances, some of these guys could pay for this out of their own pocket and actually benefit from it tax-wise. So there's a lot of different ways, in my opinion, that this thing could be, paid for. I just hope and pray that something happens and something's done. Like I said, not necessarily for my family or whatever, because I don't necessarily need it, or Steve's, but for the guys who would just literally die for a decent meal or decent medical help.
I wanted to piggyback on something David just said, and I've spoken, as you can probably imagine, to a lot of the ball players. I've grown terribly close to a lot of them. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a conversation with one Gail Slater, and Gail's husband, David, I don't know if you remember him. He played, had a cup of coffee for the Houston Astros, Jay Slater. Jay Slater, if he had 3 or 4 games with the Astros, it was a lot. And Jay Slater just died at the age of 61 of a neurological condition called ataxia. And Jimmy, for the benefit of you and your listeners, ataxia essentially impairs one's coordination. And his widow, you could hear the tears through the phone. And I didn't know what to tell her. His widow, Gail, said, Mr. Gladstone, we begged Major League Baseball to allow us to be part of the health plan. Begged them. We offered to pay the insurance